God! No! Stop! Stop!
Child's Play 3 wasn't just another scary doll movie. It was the moment Chucky grew up and followed his victims into a whole new nightmare. Set in the early 90s between toy factories and a military school, the film tried to go bigger and darker. But behind the scenes, chaos ruled. One script had Chucky swapping paintballs for real bullets. Another showed him murdering his own creator using good guy toys. The script was rushed, the studio demanded speed, and rumors haunted the cast for years. These are 10 creepiest facts about Child's Play 3, and hidden inside it was a version so intense, the studio locked it away before anyone could see it. Number 1. Chucky was almost cloned. Before the final script was locked, Child's Play 3 was supposed to introduce something totally insane: multiple Chuckies. The early drafts showed Charles Lee Ray's blood dripping into the molten plastic during the opening factory scene, spreading his evil into every good guy doll being made. It would have created an army of tiny killers, all sharing the same twisted soul. The idea was eventually scrapped because the effects would have been too expensive, but the concept stayed alive. More than 20 years later, Don Mancini finally used it in Cult of Chucky. So in a way, Child's Play 3 planted the seed for one of the franchise's wildest storylines. Number 2. The paintball massacre that never happened. One deleted idea could have turned Child's Play 3 into one of the bloodiest movies of its time. In the script, Chucky sneaks into a military training exercise and replaces the soldiers' paintballs with real bullets. The result would have been a full-scale massacre, an entire platoon wiped out in seconds. It was dark, shocking, and maybe too realistic. When the studio read the pages, they immediately pulled the plug, afraid it would cause massive controversy. Instead, they toned the scene down into a near-miss moment. But for horror fans, imagining that lost version makes you wonder, could this have been the most violent Child's Play ever made? Number 3. The ending was almost completely different. Originally, Child's Play 3 was supposed to end in a haunted toy store, not the carnival. Early drafts and concept art showed Chucky chasing Andy through endless aisles of boxed good guy dolls, each one looking identical, a nightmare maze where Andy can't tell which doll is real. The climax would have featured dozens of dolls coming to life at once, with Andy forced to burn the entire store to stop them. The studio changed it late in production to a carnival setting because it was cheaper and easier to film. That version might have turned Child's Play 3 into one of the most terrifying sequels ever made. Number 4. The kill too brutal to show. In Don Mancini's earlier draft, Sullivan's death was supposed to be much darker and more ironic. Instead of a quick strangling, Chucky was going to torture him using the company's own toys, toy robots, mini dolls, and factory tools coming alive around him. It was meant to be a corporate revenge scene, Chucky using the same good guy brand that created him to kill its greedy creator. It would have been full of practical effects, moving doll parts and blood, more elaborate and violent. The studio, however, thought it was too long, too gory, and too expensive, and they were also worried it might push the movie into an NC-17 rating instead of an R. So they simplified it to the much shorter version we see. Number 5. The movie was blamed for real crimes. After Child's Play 3 hit theaters, it got dragged into one of the most disturbing controversies in horror history. In 1993, tabloids in the UK claimed the movie had influenced the tragic James Bulger case, even though police later confirmed the 2 kids involved had never seen the film. Still, newspapers ran wild with headlines blaming Chucky for real-life violence. Stores pulled the VHS off shelves, and the movie gained a reputation it never earned. The truth? It was just moral panic. People needed something to blame. The story haunted the cast and crew for years, and it changed how horror movies were marketed in Britain ever since. Number 6. The rushed sequel that almost broke the crew. The real horror behind Child's Play 3 wasn't Chucky. It was the schedule. Writer Don Mancini was told to write the script before Part 2 even hit theaters. Universal wanted another sequel immediately to keep the momentum going, but Mancini was out of ideas and out of time. He finished the draft under heavy studio pressure, rewriting scenes almost every night just to keep up. From start to finish, the entire movie, writing, filming, editing, and release, took less than 9 months. The crew was exhausted, the effects team barely tested anything, and the editor was still cutting scenes while marketing had already begun. It was chaos on every level. Some people on set even joked that Child's Play 3 wasn't filmed. It was manufactured on a deadline. Number 7. The movie predicted its own future. Here's something most fans don't realize. Child's Play 3 accidentally foreshadowed a major plot twist that wouldn't actually happen until Seed of Chucky more than a decade later. In one early version of the script, there was a bizarre idea where Chucky's soul could split into multiple bodies, not just other dolls but people. One draft even included a moment where Chucky tries to possess a young female cadet during the war game sequence, creating the first hint of a child born from Chucky's own soul. That idea was cut for being too weird, but it later came true when Chucky and Tiffany literally had a child in Seed of Chucky. It's one of those strange coincidences that makes fans wonder, did the franchise accidentally predict its own twisted future? Number 8. The real school behind Chucky's massacre. Here's something wild. The military academy you see in Child's Play 3 wasn't just a Hollywood set. Parts of it were filmed at a real military prep school in California, and some of the actual cadets were used as background extras. But once the movie came out, the school reportedly tried to distance itself from the production completely. Parents complained about the violent themes and the studio's use of real uniforms and locations for scenes involving murder and child soldiers. Universal eventually had to cut ties and remove all school credit from future releases. It's one of those eerie cases where fictional horror got a little too close to real life. Number 9. A surprise cameo that never happened. Child's Play 3 almost had a familiar face watching over the chaos. Actor John Ritter. He was supposed to appear as a security guard at the Good Guys factory in the opening scene, catching Chucky just before he was reborn. The cameo was cut early in production, but the connection didn't end there. Ritter later joined the franchise in Bride of Chucky, playing the overprotective police chief, who meets a darkly comic end. In a way, his appearance in the next film became a full-circle moment from the factory that made Chucky to the story that brought him back to life again. Number 10. The flop that came back to life. When Child's Play 3 hit theaters in 1991, critics tore it apart. Reviews called it lazy, unnecessary, and lifeless. It scored barely 23% from critics and 34% from audiences. For years, it was seen as the movie that killed the franchise. But something funny happened over time. Fans came back. They embraced the awkward humor, the wild military setting, and the over-the-top tone. It became a so bad it's good cult classic, a comfort movie for die-hard Chucky fans. What critics buried, horror fans dug up and gave new life. After all, just like Chucky, this movie refuses to stay dead. Child's Play 3 might not be the most loved chapter in the series, but it changed everything for Chucky. It pushed the story forward, tested new ideas, and even through all the chaos, it made sure the killer doll stayed alive in pop culture. Without this messy, rushed sequel, there might never have been Bride of Chucky or Cult of Chucky. Looking back, it's easy to see why this movie struggled: impossible deadlines, cutscenes, and controversy at every turn. But that's also what makes it fascinating. It's the imperfect, scrappy middle child that refused to die. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more horror movie facts.